Hey guys, today's going to be something a little bit different from any of the reviews that I've done before. Today I'm going to be reviewing Paizo's Gamemastery NPC Face Card sets, and I actually just acquired all three, which the first set is Friends and Foes, the second set is Enemies, and the third set, the most recent one, is Urban NPCs. So what is this? What are these cards, and what are they good for, and why should you be interested in them? Why should you buy them? Each of these packs comes with 54 cards. Basically, all of these cards are on high-quality cardstock, and they're a little bit glossy. They feel like they would they could stand up to some punishment. Though you may want to consider putting these into sleeves or something like that just to increase their longevity at your table. But you can see that they're all presented in full color, and all of these are basically bust shots of various NPCs that might show up in your games, or you can even use these as inspiration for PC portraits. So you've got various humanoids, males and females, dwarves and humans from all kinds of social classes, as well as all kinds of, you've got warriors and wizards and rogue types, and you've got little children or halfling there. You got a little pirate guy. You got elves. So basically, you get the idea that these are basically mostly going to be just head, neck, maybe some shoulder, and it's just enough that you can create a visual cue for your NPCs in your games, bring a little bit extra life to those NPCs. Now, in addition to just having nice pretty artwork on the front, the back of each card also has a little blank space where you can write notes in on here, so you can maybe write down name, their where they're located, what their profession is, maybe some notes about how they feel about the player characters or something like that. Now, I've been told, I haven't tried this for myself, but I've been told that you can use dry erase marker on the backs of these and that it will wipe away with no staining. I mentioned in an earlier video that I'm a visual person. I like that visual stimulus in games, and if I can bring it into my games as a game master, I really enjoy the opportunity to do so. And this would be a great way to be able to get players to latch on to NPCs. There's so many times in games where the player characters pass by so many NPCs that they're basically just relegated to a list of random names. But there's nothing, the players don't engage with those characters oftentimes on any kind of deeper level, because basically all they are is a name and a job. Likewise, how many times have you had a really cool idea for a villain, but you find that just because of the flow of the game maybe, or just because of where the player's attentions are, that you're trying to describe this NPC, but you don't really feel like you're being particularly or appropriately ominous or impressive or imposing in your description of this NPC. And so maybe putting something in front of your players and showing them like this little portrait of a character who's got like these he's like burning red eyes, and he's got this little, Ioun stone circling over his head, and you can see that his beard is kind of like all unkempt, and he's got scars on his cheeks, and it's just adds just a little extra flair, just a little extra interest. I also think that they have a great deal of value in cataloging, because you can make your notes on the backs of the cards like this. You can basically end up, as a game master, you can end up with just kind of like a little pouch, maybe a Ziploc bag, or just like a little card filing box full of these NPCs that you've introduced to your player characters over the course of a campaign, complete with notes, including name and all this other information. And that would be a great source for mining, for drawing up subplots, or remembering about the NPCs that the player characters were involved in, and who they might reach out to if they need help, who might hinder them if they have basically left those NPCs off in dire straits. And so I think they would just be a really, really handy tool. And I haven't gotten the opportunity to try these in my game yet, but the reason I picked them up was because I'm coming to a point in my current Warhammer campaign where the characters are going to be based around a large trading town, and there's going to be many, many NPCs that they're going to interact with. And rather than, again, kind of relegate to a long list of just random names that the players are never going to remember anyway, I'm going to try this technique of representing my NPCs via these various character portraits. And so every time they're talking to an NPC, then I can give them an idea of who they're really talking to and what that person looks like. And it'll be an interesting experiment to see how that impacts play. Now, when we're talking about reviewing the physical products between these three sets, and what's the value there? Well, they're all pretty generic in terms of what's offered within them. Mostly humans, a few of the demi-humans, dwarves, and elves, and that sort of thing. Most of them, honestly, could be used as either friends or enemies, as this kind of indicates here, friends and foes. The same character card could be somebody who is potentially allied to the PCs, or just kind of a thorn in their side. And so really their use is pretty general. And so I think this is represented the best in the Friends and Foes set, as well as the Urban NPCs set. Now, despite the label Urban NPCs, I find that these are actually pretty generally applicable as well. You've got warriors and soldiers, but you also have some what you might call urban type characters, such as aristocrats and scribes and engineers and that sort of thing. But a lot of those too are just very general, because the picture that you get of these NPCs, again, is mostly just going to be head, neck, and maybe shoulders, which maybe the clothing might give an indication of their social class or something. But they're general enough that you can use them for a wide variety of NPCs. So just because it says urban NPCs on it doesn't mean that you can't use these for wilderness characters, rangers and druids, and other types of barbarians and whatnot. The physical product is very sturdy. The cardstock that they use is really good. The printing process seems to be very well done, and the full color is very nice. They're very, very stylish. Now, the one drawback that I have is amongst these three sets, the enemies set clearly was using an inferior type of material, and so the cardstock feels lighter, and the cards themselves kind of bow outwards, and so kind of at the corners they kind of tend to stick together when you're shuffling through them. Now, presentation-wise, they're identical. The artwork on them, on all of them, is great, and the style uses the same style, but it does lend itself to being a slightly inferior product. Now, fortunately, Urban NPCs, which was released after the Enemies set, Paizo apparently went back to the original materials and process that they used for the initial Friends and Foes set, which I was very happy about. So the quality of the cards in both of these sets is identical, and it's just marginally, just slightly inferior with this product. Now, this is still a very worthwhile product to pick up. So if you're interested in these NPC cards, I wouldn't let the fact that the inferior materials used in the Enemies set deter you. Now, the Enemies set, as opposed to the other sets, is a little less generic, and it includes more of your sort of monstery type or villainous type characters, obviously. So you get some vampires, and you get orcs, and you get undead, lich kings, and that sort of thing. But again, could be used for a variety of things. But you do also still get a number of humans and humanoids that could be used for, as assassins and thugs and that sort of thing, and just roguish type characters. So overall, I think it's a very good product. I highly recommend anyone who is interested in adding an extra visual element to your games to pick them up. Now, at $10.99 MSRP, honestly, I think they're a little bit overpriced. If I had my way of it, but then again, I'm a frugal person, I might say $7 or $8, maybe $8.99 a pack would probably be a more reasonable rate. Now, I know you can get them at slight discounts if you order, if you purchase them online through various online vendors. But then, of course, you're talking about dealing with shipping as well. I think it's a great product. I think it is I'm going to get a lot of mileage out of these cards, in my personal opinion. Slightly overpriced? Maybe. And I've heard, though, again, I'm not a I'm not a Pathfinder player, so I don't have any of the Pathfinder games, game books, but I've been told that a lot of the art on these cards is recycled from various Pathfinder products. And so if that's an issue for you, that is something that you should consider before purchasing them. I could honestly see being able to use just about every one of these cards in some way or another in my own campaigns. So, top-notch product. I recommend you guys going to check them out. Happy gaming.